Welcome back, everybody. This is Ask Cadence. My name is Pete Wright. I'm sitting here at the table with Connie Plowman, COO, Cadence Management Corporation. Hello, Connie.
Hi, Pete.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
And with us once more, John Patton, President of Cadence. Hi, John.
Hi, Pete. It's very happy to be here during cherry blossom time.
Indeed, the seasons, they just keep rolling by, and as do our critical gorilla-sized project problems. This one, I think, is really interesting. It's not one that we have talked about on Ask Cadence in the past. From the project card, and John, I'll ask you to illuminate this a little bit for me. We have poor visibility of our business customers' perspective on joint projects, which leads to poor planning of marketing and other communication activities. How do we streamline communication between internal and external teams that are working together?
Okay, Pete, we have three possible structures here. And it's I think, first of all, we do need to take a structural view. We're going to ask the question, who is overall in charge? Now, I believe that should be the customer if the customer is purchasing something from the vendor. So let's say that we have two project teams. We have one project team represented by the customer, and we have a second project team represented by the vendor. There is an option of having each project manager sit on the other project manager's team. My recommendation in this case, however, would be for the vendor project manager and a couple of key people to sit on the customer's project team and for their activities to be integrated into the overall project by the customer's project manager. This is the best of all worlds kind of environment where we have one team. Now let's say that the customer is not a customer that knows a lot about project management. They don't have a mature environment. In that case, it is up to the vendor in self-defense and to assure a positive image and results for their company to co-opt the customer by going to the sponsor of this project on the customer's side and getting 2 to 3 key people appointed and made part of the vendor's project team, and that the vendor will visit the customer site and hold project status meetings on the customer site to ensure that there is integration of the customer's work in the project plan, and the customer is totally prepared to receive the results of the project, because the customer is going to have to be doing some things on their side of this job as well. So I've talked a little bit about team structure here.
Yeah, and it can get very confusing to mitigate all these different, we're talking about cross-pollinating teams, we're talking about project managers and team members, and so how do you go about actually managing the communication process? Are there some tools that you recommend and techniques that you could talk about to help teams get control of these types of projects?
Yeah, communication is just such a number one factor in terms of teams. No one likes to be surprised. And I think as we're talking about this topic, we're talking about how can we avoid surprises? How do I keep people informed? And there are 2 great tools that Cadence has on our website to help teams communicate better. One is the responsibility matrix. You've heard about the responsibility matrix in several podcasts over time. But it really identifies who's going to do the work in terms of what are the tasks, and who is responsible for getting those tasks done, and who's going to contribute getting those tasks done. So anybody on the team, whether they're internal or external, can identify who owns responsibility for each element of the task. And the grid shows the team members, the tasks, the dots and circle dots in terms of ownership. That's number one tool. The other tool that we have on our website is the communication matrix. And that shows what are the documents that we have in this project, who's going to be receiving them, and then how often. And we create that grid with the team so that everybody's in the communication factor, and we're not over-communicating, we're not communicating the wrong things to the wrong people, and we're really defining the communication channels and then what's being communicated and how frequently. And those 2 tools, I think, are really important in terms of communicating with your teams.
Let me add just a little about that communication matrix, Pete. What I like about it, Connie, is that it's a single page. All the reports of the project and who's going to be receiving them and the frequency of receiving them. can be documented on a single page. And then let's say you have Outlook. So many people use Microsoft as a platform. You can create groups in Outlook, given the name of the report, and put the email addresses of each of the recipients in that group, so that when you create the document, you look for the document name in your groups and just put that up in the to section of your email. This saves so much time. I've known people, myself as one, who did not have the groups organized and sit down and say, now, who is it, and how does their email address start out, and am I going to be prompted here as I enter the first 1 to 3 letters or not? And this just really simplifies the communication.
It helps you really nail down the consistency piece, so you know that the same people every week are getting the communication they need to receive.
Or every month, or every quarter, or immediately when it's generated.
In addition to that, I'd just like to add, so many times that we just have this need to know. And so we're always over-communicating when it just fills up somebody's inbox, whether verbal, electronic, or written. So let's identify the right people that need the right information and then follow those standards.
Excellent. Excellent thoughts, folks. Thank you so much for sitting down again this week. This has been Ask Cadence. Please join us again next week for another gorilla-sized project problem.